Hey everyone. Have you ever stopped and thought, with how easy it is to connect online these days, does that actually change romance itself? Or maybe you felt like finding love is becoming, I don't know, just another thing on the to-do list, something you schedule in. Well, if any of that sounds familiar, you are definitely in the right place for our deep dive today. We're going headfirst into exactly that topic, how modern tech, and yeah, especially dating apps, has really reshaped how we think about love, intimacy, connection, the whole landscape. And we're drawing insights from a really interesting discussion called Is Modern Romance Dead? It was a panel from the Oxford Union and Unheard. Now, our goal isn't to officially call time of death on romance, not at all. It's more about carefully unpacking how these big tech shifts have sort of rewritten the rules, the rituals, how romance works inside, even if, basic human nature hasn't fundamentally changed.
Exactly. And what's so fascinating, what that discussion really zeroes in on, isn't whether we still want connection. Of course we do. It's more about how the ways we express that and how we experience it, how those modes has changed. So yeah, less about romance being dead, much more about its, let's say, modern condition. We're going to explore how communications shifted, this kind of double-edged sword of convenience, and maybe subtly, how our whole approach to love might have changed.
Okay, right, let's get into that because we know basic human feelings, desire, love, that stuff's pretty constant, right?
Yeah.
Through history. But the way we package it, that's changed dramatically. I mean, think about going from handwritten letters, maybe really long courtships, all very in person, to apps, texting in like crazy instant messages. It's definitely faster, more efficient. But what did the source say is the immediate impact of that efficiency?
Well, one of the big things the panel pointed to is this flattening of emotional depth, which sounds pretty serious. Think about the love letter, right? It wasn't just, here's some information. It took real introspection, time, actual emotional work. You had to sit down, think, really dig into what you felt to write something, well, meaningful. Now, contrast that with texting. Texts are designed for speed, for efficiency, and often, as the panel noted, for kind of managing your image. They use this really interesting analogy comparing conversations to chess games. You start with basic opening moves, hi, how are you? But then it diverges. You have to react immediately. But letters, they said that's like starting from the end game. You can lay out all your thoughts perfectly placed without waiting for that instant reply. It really makes you ask, okay, what are we trading away for all this speed?
Flattening. Oh, that's a really striking word. Can you unpack that a bit more? What does that actually look like in relationships today, according to the discussion? Because if efficiency is flattening the depth, what does that do to us, individually? It feels like that connects to another key point they made, this difference between narcissism and introspection. Because dating apps with the profiles, the swiping, the likes, that creates a really potent feedback loop, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. And that feedback loop, exactly as you said, it tends to push us towards external validation.
Yeah.
Getting likes, getting matches. It's less about genuine internal discovery, figuring out who we are and what we truly feel. We're busy curating an image, checking how others see us, rather than maybe looking inward. There was this quote from the discussion that really nailed it. We're more narcissistic than ever, but less introspective. It really hits you, right? It suggests our focus has shifted, maybe fundamentally, looking out for approval, not in for understanding.
That makes so much sense, especially the curation part. And look, dating apps offer incredible convenience, let's be honest. Instant access to people, scheduling dates easily, filtering, it's all right there. So convenient. But then the flip side is, does that very convenience, that ease, somehow undermine the ease word, the messy, unpredictable, serendipitous part of real romance? The discussion had that great historical comparison, didn't it? How we went from tailor shops and local grocers to giant supermarkets for efficiency. And the argument is we've basically done the exact same thing with dating apps like Tinder or Hinge, one-stop shopping for connection.
Yeah, the supermarket for love analogy. And that convenience, while it seems great on the surface, it comes with an emotional cost. That's the argument. It kind of systematizes romance, maybe even sterilizes it a bit, makes it feel less like this grand, chaotic adventure and more like just another task you slot into your schedule, between the gym and picking up groceries. And there was that really powerful line from the source that stuck with me. It's not love if it's convenient. Love is supposed to disrupt your life. Which is fascinating, right? This idea that real connection, true love, it's meant to challenge your neat little routines, not just fit tightly inside them.
Totally. Love as a beautiful disruption. I like that. And that idea leads straight into another big criticism from the source material, doesn't it? This idea that modern dating actually encourages us to treat romance like an item on a calendar. You actually hear people say things like, okay, I'll spend 30 minutes on the apps tonight. Or you see calendar entries, Thursday, 6 p.m., date. It's literally being scheduled like a meeting.
Right. And that whole scheduled, programmatic way of doing things is seen as fundamentally anti-romantic. Because real romance, the panel argued, involves things like sacrifice, spontaneity, the unexpected. It's not supposed to be this neat little item you check off your to-do list. Love, when it really grabs you, is meant to mess with your routine, to challenge your schedule, throw that beautiful, messy wrench in the works, you know? It's about saying yes when it's maybe inconvenient, not just when it fits the plan.
Yeah, absolutely. So bringing it kind of full circle back towards the start, the source wraps up with this, well, it feels quite poignant, but insightful point about letter writing, how it's become almost obsolete, not just for romance, but even between close friends. And the panel suggested it's not because people don't care anymore, but just because compared to firing off a quick text, it feels too hard. Too much effort involved.
Exactly. And that ties everything together nicely. This idea that convenience is just. It's winning out over effort, often without us even realizing the cost. We're sort of maybe evolutionarily wired to find the easy path, right? The path of least resistance, even if that path means we lose some of the richness, some of the depth along the way. Which poses that big question again. How is this mirroring what's happening in modern dating? Are we consistently choosing easy access over deeper connection? It feels like we often opt for the quick fix, even if it means missing out on something potentially more profound.
So really our whole discussion today, drawing on that source, it's been a kind of cultural critique, hasn't it? Not just about romance itself, but about how this relentless drive for convenience in society might be, I don't know, dulling the emotional colors that make relationships, well, rich and meaningful.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. And just to sort of crystallize things for everyone listening, let's quickly revisit those key metaphors from the discussion. Remember, dating apps as supermarkets for love, efficient, loads of choice, but maybe lacking that unique special something. Remember, love is a beautiful disruption, not just another appointment on your calendar. And think about letters as emotional mirrors reflecting depth versus texts as emotional shortcuts. If you pull it all together, the source's kind of final verdict, if you like, is that but modern romance can sometimes feel like a convenient but hollow echo of what love felt like when it really demanded more from us, more time, more risk, more genuine emotional depth.
That's powerful stuff. So maybe a final thought for you, our listener, as you navigate your own connections, just consider, are there any forgotten rituals, maybe small efforts that you could consciously choose to bring back, not just for old time's sake, not for nostalgia, but maybe to reconnect with that deeper, messier, emotional core that makes romance feel truly real and rich for you? Something to think about.
Thanks so much for joining us on this deep dive today.